So, we have bricks. But as you can tell by this intro, I couldn't fucking wait to the weekend anymore. So, Eubricks is finally out of San Antonio. So, the king of pissing it up has officially left the Alamo. So, we got rid of the king of bitching it up. We got rid of the king of shitting it up last year over the summer. Now we got rid of the king of pissing it up. So, I wonder who's going to be the next next player in general to fuck it up like Fabrizio Alberto in the Alamo City, the king of fucking it up. But at least the king of fucking it up actually, they actually did good stuff for the Spurs back when I was a teenager, back in the mid to late 2000s when I still lived in Michigan in the Lenore house, post-Mexico, obviously, not pre-Mexico, when we still had Prime Duncan on one knee, Washed Up Robinson, Sean and Avery headed on their way out, Bowen coming in for the first time, Parker and Manu making their arrival, the early 2000s Spurs, pre-Mexico and, during Mexico when I had to miss the whole 2001-2002 season because of it, because I lived there for that whole season. So, goes to show you how old I am as a Spurs fan, being, a Tim Duncan all-time fan, but anyway, there's more than just Eubricks we can talk about. The whole trade deadline, with the Spurs. I could care less about what the rest of the league does unless it involves other 29 teams with us, And before I get into that, I want to note to self, since Trey Jones was the last-minute scratch last night, I didn't get to see him fucking play in person, I thought we were going to have a full team, but, Devontae, Joe, and Austin. Yeah, I just had 2 Cokes and a big pork steak dinner, so please forgive me. Since Juancho was, packing his bags to leave San Antonio because we knew he was going to be traded, not going to stay here for long. Even if we played in some games, Devontae and Joe were in Austin. Trey was going. Other than that, we were going to have a full squad. Trey was going to play, but they were originally listing him and Lonnie Walker available last night after they were out for a little while. But apparently he was a last-minute scratch an hour before tip-off while I was sitting there looking for him after I got acknowledged by Zach Collins, my other current favorite Spur. And this just adds another year that it's like every time I go to the game, it's like before I go to the game, usually before I go to the game, someone's always hurt, or so I'm not going to be able to play for any random reason. But this one was a whole new one. This one was a last minute scratch, like an hour before tip, where Trey wasn't going to play. So I didn't even get to see this man play this year. Maybe next year for year 26 as a fan. So therefore, I'm going to post an updated version of that post on the community tab here on YouTube, and of course on my Facebook, and maybe an Instagram post with the pictures representing these people getting hurt and missing action, causing me to not be able to see them. But anyway, yeah, so what I'm here to talk about is like Spurs blowing it up like Montoya and the Jet Dryer. Brian Wright Pop in the front office are finally giving us Spurs fan what we wanted for a year, since Tim retired, Tony and Manu was stepped out, all the good players, left us, for other teams, and then some of them eventually retired on their own, like Boris Diaw, because keep in mind, Boris Diaw was dumped by San Antonio. He was screwed over by us, to go to the Utah Jazz, just so we can make room for someone who was good in his prime, but at that point was not as good as Boris Diaw at that time in 2016, Pau Gasol. I know, their Duncan was on his way out, and, they needed a replacement, but you just could have kept Boris, he could have been replacement of Tim Duncan, but I can understand the Pau signing since he was an all-star caliber player and Boris wasn't, even though prime Boris was in Phoenix when, he used to be our enemy, Sheldon Seven, Robert Ory, Steve Nash, and, he left the bench, even though he only took a few steps, he realized he fucked up and, went back to the bench, and even if you go back to the bench, you're still going to get suspended for leaving the bench, even if you just run back and realize you're a mistake. You go over the line, one step over the line, off the bench, even during a fight, even if it's just one step, you don't go to intervene, you're going to get suspended anyway automatically for a 1-game suspension. Kind of like how, even though Sterling Marlin was trying to avoid, in the Telstra Daytona 500, cutting a tire on the last restart and causing another massive accident, it still counted as working on the car into the right leg, which is the NASCAR rule, meaning he got set to tail end Charlie of the lead lap, had to settle for 8th, and gave the win to Ward Burton, fellow Dodge teammate. But what I'm here to talk about is my thoughts on, Spurs blowing it up, Eubricks finally getting the fuck out of San Antonio, Thad Young leaving, Thad Young is a little to least of my concern. I'll talk about him now. I'm just glad I got to, kind of talk to him for a split second and meet him yesterday, so I'm glad I had that memory of him before he got traded away. And I'm also here to talk about, Derrick White getting traded out of nowhere, which is understandable, which you'll hear about in a minute. And, of course, us getting a player I hated because of what he did to us in 2010, which, if he even plays, and, of course, Lonnie Walker stinking it up like Terry Labonte to the point where, he could leave us in the summertime. But anyway, so I'll start off with Eubricks. So, if we can get rid of Pau Gasol in 2019, Pau Gasol in 2019, Bryn Forbes twice in 2020 and 2022, Marco Bellinelli in 2020, Rudy Gay in 2021, and LaMarcus Aldridge in 2021, then we can get rid of Drew Eubricks in 2022. The Spurs fans got what they wanted. They wanted Eubricks and, king of pissing it up and king of bitching it up, Brick Forbes off the team. So now that we're blowing it up, even if we go on a long win streak, by the time the new players are set to go to finish out the season, it's going to be too little too late because we lost so many games in the beginning of the season that we could have won. So, some of the games that Eubricks and, Forbes cost us, some of the games, winnable games they cost us. Even Lonnie has cost us some games too, so I'll talk about that last. But, Thad Young, at least now he gets a chance to actually play and do what he loves to do. I feel sorry for him considering that even though we were so hard on him in the beginning of the season with how bad he was played, I think it lit a fire underneath him and it pissed him off to the point where he wanted to play angry. And he started to improve, we owed him an apology. But as he started playing good, Pop benches him, glues him to the bench with another rookie sensation and alongside Josh Primo. That's a big jock, for someone who can't play worth a shit. Drew Eubricks, But at least, Pop finally got his head out of his ass, started playing jock over Drew and played Drew very little. But now that Zach is back, first game in nearly over 2 or 3 years, now Zach is the one who made Eubricks lose his job. And I saw this coming a mile away when we traded the king of bitching it up away. So I kind of saw Eubricks losing his job and I was looking forward to it. Thad Young, I wish you well in Toronto, and I hope, at least now you get to play and fulfill your dream of, hopefully maybe winning a ring one day before you retire because you've been in the game for that long. It doesn't even seem like it because of how young you seem, but, now for the Derrick White scenario. This I did not see coming. I can understand why most Spurs fans, other than, not me, I'm kind of bummed myself, but I can understand why some Spurs fans are sad to see him go because he's the young core, part of the young core. But here's the difference between him, and the rest of the young core. DeJounte, Keldon, Vassell, and, even Trey and Primo and all of them. Those guys are 25 years of age and younger. Well, unfortunately, while Derrick White is in his 20s, he's just about my age. We were born the same year as Anna Grace Barlow, Hayley Orrantia, two of my favorite actresses from The Goldberg / The Big Leap from both shows, even though Anna Grace was on 2, Goldberg's and Big Leap, and Hayley was only on 1, Goldberg, which gave me Anna Grace, which gave me The Big Leap. Kelly Berglund gave me The Goldbergs, but we're going to save that conversation for Hayley's birthday at the end of the month when we do her birthday tribute, and Anna Grace's mega birthday tribute in the summer when we pass up the New England 300 NASCAR Winston Cup race to make a gigantic birthday tribute for her in the neighborhood that day. So I can understand why people were upset when Derrick left, but the rest of the young core is 25 or younger. Derrick White is, going to be 28 just like me this year, and he's already pushing 30, so, he's more of a point guard than a shooting guard, and because of DeJounte, we were using Derrick as a shooting guard, which is not fit for him. Keep in mind, the last time he had a hot streak going with us, last year, he ended up going down with an injury, and he has not been the same since then, which is why he wasn't doing so hot this year. But unlike the king of bitching it up and the king of pissing it up, at least Derrick actually showed occasional flashes of brilliance and actually could do good stuff. Stuff as in, actually do stuff, like legitimate good stuff. Eubricks and, Forbes did not do any of that shit. I mean, Forbes did, occasionally, like, Martin Luther King 2020, before the pandemic, shot the lights out against Phoenix and won that game for us. 2019 Denver series when Parker left in his last season to Charlotte and DeJounte had his 2018-19 potential breakout season wiped out due to an ACL injury caused by the original cheating McDouchebag against the eventual cheating McDouchebags. Hell, he was even amazing, carrying us in some games that we should have lost, against Portland, when we did the Spurs Blazers review after dark. He also did pretty good against, the Cavs in San Antonio, one of his very last games in his second tenure with the Spurs, when, me and the Sportshead Network did that live stream on Twitch, when, we were keeping it close with the Cavs all game long, and that one, the first matchup, not the one yesterday, but the one in San Antonio, when the Crotch of Doom, when I did recognize the number, if you remember, considering all my recent contacts got wiped out because, I had to clean out my storage on my phone to, make room to record these YouTube videos on my phone again. And I thought it was some guy, some guy rando trying to attack me, but it was the Crotch of Doom, because, he kind of gave it away when he commented, "Did you get my text? Go Cavs." And so that's how I knew. So he did pretty good in that one, but then other than that, he was just very inconsistent. But Bryn Forbes is history. The king of bitching it up is no more, King of pissing it up is no more. Now the, king of shitting it up, that's Rudy, that's no more. Now the king of pissing it up is no more. So Derrick White, now that Derrick White is actually can be used more as a shooting guard, he can probably take Boston towards the promised land. Not all the way to the promised land, but by next year, Jacob Joseph, that ultimate Celtics fan, probably the greatest Celtics fan of all time. I don't know how the Celtics are doing. I know you guys have been kind of bad, not as bad as us or the Lakers or the cheating McDouchebags, but let me know how the Celtics are doing, if they're trying to turn it around, if they're even going to make the playoffs, because I don't know anything about the Eastern Conference standings, but even if next year Derrick White is there, he could actually help Boston get better, considering, but yeah, so he's pushing 28, so he'll be a better fit for Boston than he would be for us. So best of luck to Derrick. Now, Goran Dragic, I don't even fucking know if we're actually going to play him. Honestly, I hope we do and don't just give him up after he plays a game or two or before he even plays the game to make him a two-time San Antonio Spur without him having to play a game. Because keep in mind, we drafted him many years ago, but we traded his draft rights away, and it came back to bite us in the ass in 2010 in the Phoenix series in the second round when he torched us. He demolished the fuck out of us, and that when causing Phoenix to sweep us in 4 games, at which they kind of won the series on our home floor, when I was 16 years old and I moved back to Ohio to be with my family again, when my grandparents gave me the Sandhurst house in Brook Park. But I hated him for so many years for that. It's like whenever any team that had him on it when the Spurs played them, I could care less what the rest of the team did. I always would want him to fail because of it. But now that he's here, I'm actually happy, Was I thrilled about the news? No, kind of, but it is what it is. I have to learn to warm up to this. Well, to be fair, he was starting to kind of grow on me in the last a year or so, a year or 2 or 3. So maybe now that being said, now that he's a Spur, and if he's able to play for the team that drafted him, he's going back home to the team that drafted him. Maybe he can get some redemption not only from 2010, but also never being able to play for the Spurs right away when they drafted him. So I look forward to seeing what he can do if he can actually play a game for us, if, we allow him to, But what else was I going to talk about? Wait. Oh, yeah, Lonnie Walker IV. Yeah, so there was this guy on Twitter, from the Spurs Twitter side of things, that bought all the Spurs jerseys of after Duncan, around the time Duncan was left. Every single Spur in that picture You know, every single Spurs jersey he had in that picture, all of them are gone. And the only one that's still here is Lonnie Walker the fourth. But I don't even think he's going to be here much longer. As much as I love him for the cheating McDouchebag game, you know, for the Colin McIntyre birthday miracle when he tore that shit up like Terry Labonte. When they tried to protest that game against us where cheating douchebag missed that dunk, rightfully so. And, of course, they failed, you know, and because had they won that protest, we would have had to, like, replay the last few minutes of that like, from the point where cheating McDouchebag missed the dunk, we would have had to replay that whole part of the game all the way to the end again, and all of Lonnie's hard work would have been erased. So, I can understand why we were bitching on Twitter back in the day, dating back to my old Mark Oliver's 215 account, as to why Pop was playing Bellinelli over Lonnie. Well, Bellinelli, to be fair, wasn't that version of Marco sucked. I'm not saying, like, you know, Bellinelli deserved it more because Lonnie he proved that he hasn't been the one, and it's more than likely not going to work out. But Bellinelli should have not have been having, you know, but they never should have brought Bellinelli back in that season, to be honest, because, you know, well, not the season before when DeJounte went down and Parker left, but, you know, Crazy Me when Bellinelli did come back in 18-19, Crazy Me thought he was going to pick up where he left off from Game 7 of the Lob City Clippers playoff series from the first round back in 2015. We know how that turned out. That version of Marco sucked, but at least the first version actually contributed to a championship team. I like that version of Bellinelli, but I don't like the second version, which makes me not like him as a whole for, you know, how bad he was. But at the same time, even though he's gone and Lonnie's started getting more playing time in the 2020-2021 season after he left, he was very inconsistent, you know. I was so attached to him and, you know, Luka when he was here, but apparently some people on Spurs Twitter were right. Those guys just weren't the run, even though they were young and had potential, but they just weren't the one for San Antonio. Look, Luka ended up getting cut in the preseason before the regular season had a chance to start, which led me to Zach Collins and, well, Trey Jones was already my favorite before Luka was cut. But then when I picked, you know, when Luka left, Living La Vida Luka left, that's when I picked Zach Collins as our replacement, as does the Zach Barnhart connection. So that's, you know, conversation we've had before. But, you know, Luka didn't work out, so, and Lonnie has not been doing so hot. I mean, Derrick wasn't doing hot either, and maybe he can, like, turn his luck around in Boston, which I think he's going to do and will do. But Lonnie, you know, he's not doing so hot either, but he doesn't really do much good stuff like, you know, Derrick did at times. You know, he was doing good stuff a lot last year, but this year he has fallen off a cliff. So he's been really stinking up the joint like Terry Labonte. So if I were to lobby, you know, whoever, you know, if the lobby, you know, Pop, Brian Wright in the front office, I'd say, even if Lonnie stays for the remainder of the season, send his ass to the bench and, you know, let Devin well, he's already coming off the bench, to be fair. But, like, you know, with Derrick gone, just do not pick Lonnie to start in Derrick's old starting shooting guard place. Pick, you know, Vassell to start, you know, and have Vassell take up majority of the minutes Lonnie was getting. So, I just have this feeling if Lonnie keeps up this inconsistent play and doesn't pick up the pace, I have a feeling he's going to be the next Spur that we've had for quite a little while that's going to be on the way out. So, therefore, I have the feeling if, you know, if the new players, like, then they're set to go show out for the rest of the season, even if it's too late for us to make a come-from-behind run to get into the play-in to the point where we'd be carrying the momentum to, like, to the play-in to, like, go into the playoffs. You know, if we don't make it all the way to the playoffs, or, you know, let alone make it to the play-in, that's fine, you know. I don't want to plan the play-in anyways. That way I can, you know, end this another train wreck of a season, you know, have a nice peaceful summer without thinking about being stressed about Spurs basketball, making my blood pressure through the roof, which is what I'm not used to as a Spurs fan, considering that, you know, almost the entire time I've been alive and been a Spurs fan, now for 25 out of my soon-to-be 28 years, we always have been good, you know. Ever since Tim left, you know, Manu and Tony headed out, Kawhi backstabbed us, Danny got traded, Kyle Anderson left, Boris Diaw got screwed over for Pau Gasol, the same way, you know, Gibbs screwed over Bobby Labonte, Petty screwed over John Andretti, Starcom screwed over Jeffrey on Harlandic Castle for in favor of Christian Fittipaldi. JJ Yaley and Quinn Half in NASCAR, it's like it's been all the way down the toilet. Our dynasty went away. It's like we've been mediocre at best. But I have a feeling, considering the Cavs rebuild didn't take long, now they're good again. This rebuild is we're finally taking major steps in the right direction. I have a feeling if most of the good players, no, it's not the good, why do I keep saying that? Most of the new players, not the good players, most of the new players, show out and actually most of them get rewarded, actually stay here, and we keep some of this year's core, but eliminate some of this year's, players that, haven't been doing so high. I have a feeling we're going to be contenders again for my 26th year as a Spurs fan next year in 2022, 2023. But at the same time, I'm not holding my breath. But we'll see how the rest of the season goes. And, going into the offseason come summer 2022 when we do season 2 of Fun in the Sun. So I will see you all tomorrow for the pizza party vlog. And Saturday, Saturday I'm probably going to catch up on pivoting and, Fox, DVR, and of course Danger Force and Warped on Nickelodeon.com. And Sunday I do not have any shows, and and there's no race Sunday because of the Super Bowl, which is why the Daytona 500 is a week later than it usually is. In recent years, it was moved from the last week of February back to around President's Day, which was around my birthday. But because the Super Bowl being scheduled before the 2022 Super Bowl being scheduled before the 2022 Daytona 500, that's why they moved the Daytona 500 to the Sunday after the Super Bowl, 5 days after my birthday. So therefore, and that will be a live stream, the Daytona 500, so I can share it with all of you guys. If the weather in Daytona Beach, Florida actually decides to cooperate for once that day this year, because the last 2 years we've had rainy Daytona 500s, we had to get pushed to the next day at 4 in the afternoon, which ended with Ryan Newman almost dying. And then last year we had a repeat of 2014 where it's like we started the race, and, after a little while, it started to rain, not like this year's 500 was going to end at daylight anyway, because 2014 was going to. But keep in mind, after the first 2 cautions, then rain came, and, I thought it was going to get delayed to Monday again, to the point where I either had to make my mom let me miss school so I can finish it, or she would force me to go to school and miss it because she didn't want that piece of shit principal at Polaris to, get on our case, you know what I mean? So I'm just glad they were able to finish that even at night, but even so late. That's what they did last year, except last year we had that big wreck on the early 14 laps in. Maybe that's why people didn't like that race so much. Thought it was boring. I thought it was pretty good, But, the crash on the last lap that ended in a fireball in turn 3 and Keselowski going into the fence, I can understand. But the thing is, we had not only those 2 rainy Daytona 500s in 2014, but we also had the pothole incident in 2010 where it looked like Daytona 500 after ending, it was starting the Gen Z of growing up with and start ending it at night, in 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. It looked like 2010 we were going to go back to what I was growing up with from 2001 to 2005, starting and ending in day, but the pothole said otherwise. 2012, I think if not for, being pushed to Monday night, with the jet dryer incident, it probably would have started and ended in day if it would have stayed Sunday, and the weather cooperated then when I was there for my 18th birthday, junior in high school at Berea High, living in Brook Park in the Sandhurst house. But 2013, 2014, like I said, would end daylight without rain. But, because it was started so early. 2010, 2012, and 2010 and 2014 started ultra early. But pothole and rain said otherwise. Nope, we're fucking into the shit at night. 2012 would have started early enough to end in the day, if not for, rain making it go to Monday. But as far as I know, 2013, 2015, 2016 were the last times it started and ended in daylight, which made me feel like a kid again as an adult. 2017, could barely ended in daylight because of the fact they were crashing a lot and slowing the race down with a bunch of cautions. 2018 ended at the crack of dawn when Austin won it. Kamikaze is uploading a new NASCAR 30,040 live stream. We're going to watch it later tonight, but if we can't, we'll have to watch it tomorrow after we have to do the pizza party video. But, and 2019 only ended so late because it started late no matter what happened. But, De Benedetto got, killed the field with 10 to go, caused the red flag to come out. And there was lane through red flag, clean that shit up in turns 3 and 4. And then they started, they restarted the race, and they had multiple crashes until it eventually ended with, with all the shitload of overtimes, where that was won the race by the imposter and Brett Bodine's number that Ty almost won the year after his brother pulled it off, finishing 6th. So, therefore, I just hope no matter if it ends in daylight or nighttime this year, I just want a dry Daytona 500 in the Florida weather over there to cooperate. That way I can give you a nice Daytona 500 live stream here on the channel. So I will see you all for the remainder of the videos that are coming in this month, February and going into March. Marco and Dom's birthday combined together, and the first episode of Poker Game Night with the cops. So have a good night tonight and a better day tomorrow. Life will give you a lot of lows, but when you hit a high, enjoy it. It ain't for the weak. Goddamn, be you. You have to try harder to do less. So take care, everyone. Good night, and I'll see you all tomorrow for that next video.